You're listening to Tuesday Morning Quarterbacks with Don Carpenter and Chris Brennel.
News Talk 1270, welcome back. Tuesday Morning Quarterbacks. I need to get the voice guy to add Vic to these. Although the Pronghorn season's almost over.
Well, that doesn't mean I won't come in every now and then.
You can come in.
I can talk Rider baseball. I know what baseball is.
That is true.
I filled
Baseball
in and did some stuff. So
who's calling the Riders? Oh,
Chris is calling like almost the whole doggone schedule.
21 games or so.
It's ridiculous.
It's going to be awesome.
You're the workhorse.
It'll be Chris and Dan this year. Yeah.
Nice.
I'm taking off.
I'm excited.
Well, you're going to need some time off.
That's why I'm probably not going to do football this year either. So.
Well, we have Dan. He can call the Panthers.
Oh my goodness gracious! But
okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So why don't we talk a little bit? Actually, first, why don't we talk a little bit about your interview? We were going to play it, but it was a pretty short interview, so we'll just kind of recap.
During halftime, I believe, of the men's game yesterday, or of the women's game, on Saturday that was. Dr. Englert, who is the CEO and vice president of Gillette College, and he attends a lot of the Pronghorn games. I see him there often. I asked him to come up, do an impromptu interview, talk about the future athletic facility and the educational facility. And the latest stuff, basically, he's saying it'll be more towards June that they'll start breaking ground. They're still looking for the 2016-17 basketball season. They don't think it will be ready for the start of the fall semester of 2016, but they do hope to have it ready sometime in the middle of the fall semester to use the educational aspect of it for the nursing rooms and labs and things like that. We were also talking about how things are going all around for Gillette College, the program building with the nursing as well as the other programs in that regard. So we'll probably try and find that interview and maybe play it another time or something. But definitely talked about the new facility and how getting help from the state, lots of support from the county, lots of support. He wanted to make sure we thanked, I think he said the county commissioners. There have been some private donations as well. Latke family, he mentioned it was Latke family making some donations there. So definitely lots of support here in the area for the new facility. And like I said, he mentioned originally it was mentioned late May, early June. Now he's saying it's more probably towards the middle to tail end of June that they'll break ground for the new facility.
And it's going to open in phases. Like you said, the educational part will open a little bit earlier, and then they hope to have the basketball gym ready to go for the 2016-17 season. He said he does not believe they'll be ready to use the lab facilities or the school or the educational aspect of it until maybe in the middle or after the fall 2016 semester starts. He also mentioned how due to money and due to spacing, they had to minimize what the original plan was, but I believe the current plan includes everything that you see on the drawings and all that. But it is still basically the same design as what the original plans were. I think the biggest difference was the bowl-shaped design that was not in the original plan when it comes to seating. So, it was basically just talking about that, talking about other things at the college and how the whole health of the college is getting stronger. New residential hall, too.
Yeah, he was talking about the new residential halls. They're hoping to have that going for the new residential halls down the road.
Now, you mentioned about the donations. I donated about 40 cents to it. Will they name the Cook Shack after me? Have you talked to them about this?
You get the underside of one seat.
They might.
Okay.
They might name a hot dog bun after you.
Okay, that'll work.
The Brennel bun.
It was only 40 cents, so that'll work. I'll take it.
The Brennel bun.
It has a ring
it's
to
the
it.
day-old buns.
The Brennel bun.
It's a very hard bun.
Okay, you get one armrest. That's what it is. You get one armrest, and it's really small, 10-point type.
Okay.
Handwritten with a Sharpie.
That'll work. I'm getting the hot dog bun too, right?
Yeah, that's more than I got. That's more than I got.
Oh,
it'll be cool to see it though. It really will.
Well, and they, down the road they'll start coming out publicly with more opportunities for corporate sponsors to
And this is something that Neary was talking about, doing the scoreboard sponsor, maybe having businesses on the hardwood, on the floor of the court, other aspects in that regard as well. So who knows? They might have a sponsor for the facility altogether.
Hey,
I think
we need to talk to the boss. We need Basin Radio Network in the middle of the floor.
That would be awesome.
That's what we need to talk to the boss, the big boss.
that's all stuff coming down the road. They'll probably break ground first before all that happens. So once again, around June.
Okay, so let's talk about basketball.
Lots of big stuff going on today, actually. Gillette College taking on Sheridan College this evening, 5:30 and 7:30 in Sheridan. As I'll brave the roads on I-90 and head up there myself. We'll call the games on our sister station, 93.3 The Legend. The Pronghorn women, 5:30, taking on Sheridan College. They lost to Sheridan College 69-47, and I just interviewed head coach Will Ryder for the pregame interview, maybe not even 15 minutes ago, and the team just can't find a way to get a full 40 minutes of action, and the case was made on Saturday when they lost to Miles Community College. I mean, they had the lead for
30 minutes.
Dan, you're listening. It was or Don, you're listening. It was a good chunk of the game, and then all of a sudden they fell from behind and became a 7-point deficit, and just ended up falling against Miles Community College the same way they lost to Miles Community College in Miles City, Montana, earlier in the season. So just not being able to find a way to play a full 40 minutes, and head coach Will Ryder, discussing how it's going to be tough playing against Sheridan College today, and of course they'll play Little Bighorn College and then Western Nebraska to wrap up the regular season before they go to the Region 9 playoffs. But it's probably not. They're probably not favored to go deep in the Region 9 playoffs. I think that is a safe assumption to say, the way the season's been going for them. But
well,
see what happens.
And Saturday night, it seemed like, and again, not being a kind of a base layman as a basketball listener. Now, did Miles, did they change up how they played in the last 5 or 10 minutes, or did the Pronghorn women, they just fail to execute?
I would probably say failed to execute as well as they needed to. Now, granted, I'll tell you the truth. When I'm calling a game, I'm in the middle of calling a game. I'm not noticing, all the little subtle changes.
Right.
Because I'm in the detail following where the ball is, and Chris will probably attest to this. I'm not really focused. Sometimes I'll notice, hey, they're doing a 2-3 zone versus doing man-to-man, but
right. Okay.
When I'm calling a game, I'm not. I'm too in depth of keeping stats and doing all that stuff to really give you an honest answer to that question.
But you didn't see anything glaringly different about Miles Community College's game.
No. They just they were able to get a couple 3-pointers in the game. They were able to get down. One thing I noticed was that it was a lot of one and dones. They were able to get a lot of defensive rebounds. Miles Community College was able to get a lot of defensive rebounds there in that second half. So that was one thing for them.
Okay, and for the men, a little bit different story.
They of course they got the win against Miles Community College, as expected. Now they're taking on Sheridan College this afternoon or tonight, and that is going to be a big game when it comes to the seeding for the Region 9 playoff. Right now, Gillette College, they would like to get the second seed, number 2 seed. Once again, we've mentioned this before. If you're number 1 through number 4, you're going to be hosting a first-round game at your home site. The number 1 seed is basically a lock for being Northwest College. So, like I mentioned, we've already got our hotel rooms reserved in Powell, or actually technically in Cody, Wyoming. We'll take the trek from Cody to Powell because there aren't any hotels in Powell. But nonetheless,
I think there's one Super 8 and it's probably booked.
Gillette College, if they make it past the first round, the semifinals, the quarterfinals, semifinals, and championship games will be played in Powell, Wyoming at Northwest College. So we'll have, as deep as the Pronghorns can go in the Region 9 tournament, we'll have that for you. But the Pronghorns, they need to get the win today, and they need to get the win against Little Bighorn College, and hopefully see Central Wyoming College get a loss because they want to try and get that number 2 seed. If they don't get the number 2 seed and they get a number 3 or number 4 seed, they'll still host a first-round game, which if they win these 2 games, it's basically locked. They'll get at least the 4th seed. But for Gillette College, they're taking on Sheridan College, a team who they didn't officially post the stats against Little Bighorn. I don't know if they defeated Little Bighorn. I would think they would have. But before the Little Bighorn game, they lost 6 games in a row. 5 of them were against Region 9 teams. The other game was against the Wyoming All-Star team. So Sheridan College is in a rough spot, and they're playing Sheridan College in Sheridan. Of course, it's a big rivalry as always. Gillette College defeated them 96-80 last time at the South Campus. And I think if they can get the win and keep that momentum against Little Bighorn College, then they'll get that 2nd or 3rd seed. So.
Well, and this is one of those situations you don't want to look too far ahead. I mean, obviously, they have to.
Well, they only have 2 games left.
Yeah, but you don't want to start thinking about who you're going to play in the playoffs and that kind of stuff.
Right.
And miss where you're at. And of course, being a rivalry game, I imagine Sheridan, even if they're in a rough spot, they're still going to be a dangerous opponent.
Well, any opponent on the road in Region 9 is a dangerous opponent. I mean, there have been games where Gillette College has had a tough time against Little Bighorn College and Crow Agency. And Little Bighorn College has been a perennial bottom of the totem pole team in Region 9 play, just because of the lack of scholarships and everything in that regard. So, but even so, Little Bighorn College has definitely gave them a fight a few seasons the last couple of years in a few games. So you can't rule out Sheridan College. You can't rule out Little Bighorn College. This will be a big game for the Pronghorn men tonight, with them taking on Sheridan College. Once again, they defeated them earlier, 96-80, but it's going to be on the home floor. And I'm kind of curious to see how Coach Hammer, who's a new coach, by the way, for Sheridan College, the old coach, Steve Smiley, who was there since I've been here, left to go and become an assistant coach for Weber State. So they've got a new coach under their helm. Sheridan College does on the men's side. So I'm kind of curious to see how he coaches his style on the home floor. So.
And that game is tonight. It's an unusual Tuesday night game.
5:30 and 7:30. Yep, both games can be heard on 93.3 Legend, online through BasonsRadio.com, through Network1Sports.com, as we will be there, or I'll be there, at the Golden Dome in Sheridan, Wyoming. You guys been to the Golden Dome yet?
No, I haven't.
It's a nice looking facility. It's not bad.
I might go up there tonight, but it's snowing.
Well,
I can't get you to go to a home game. Why the heck would you go to a road game, Chris?
I have the Interstate 90 stats up. There's just a black ice warning between exit 91 and Gillette. Everything else is all clear, so you're ready to go.
You can go 80 the whole way, Vic.
No, I'm not doing it. I don't even go 80 on a clear day because I don't like wasting gas. Once you hit above 75, you start going down on your.
Well, that's an old wise tale. I don't think they prove it.
Well, no, cars do use more gas.
Yeah, they do.
Anything above 65 these days is.
I don't think you can't even trust your Jeep to get to work half the time, Chris.
That doesn't stop me from setting my.
Now.
It doesn't stop me from setting my cruise control at 82, but
yeah,
I always go within that margin of error. I set it at 82, and then when I'm in Utah, even though the speed limit's 80 in Utah, I'll set it at 87 because the traffic is going 95.
Right, and
that's how it is in D.C.
They're not going to pull you over going 7 over.
It's 55 miles per hour on 95, and if you're not going 70, 75, you're going to get killed.
Oh yeah,
as long as it's not rush hour. If it's rush hour, you go about 10 miles an hour.
If you're lucky. I've driven that beltway way too many times.
Oh, man.
I don't know why I'm going that way on vacation, but at least I'm not going to D.C. I'm just doing the Baltimore beltway, which is almost as bad.
Yeah, Baltimore's as rough a city as D.C. is.
Well, yeah. I'm staying in the Inner Harbor area, the Inner Harbor and the airport area, back and forth. That's all I'm doing. You've never watched The Wire, right?
I never got into it.
Okay,
great show,
Chris. I saw someone, and this is completely out of left
field.
This is out of left field. But I was looking at, I was trying to find a good place to get crabs. I mean, I grew up in Pennsylvania near Baltimore. I didn't have to go to Baltimore to get crabs. I don't know where the crab houses are in Baltimore. So
you can get crabs anywhere.
So and I was looking at one of these travel websites, and someone asked, "Is there a driving tour for The Wire?" And I was just thinking, have you ever seen that show? You do not want to drive where that show was filmed.
No, you don't.
No.
Or walk.
I mean, I never. This was posted 4 or 5 years ago when the show was still on the air.
It's one of those places you don't stop at the red lights
No,
if you're driving
no.
through there. If you go on the tour, don't stop at red lights.
And for those that don't know, the show is about drug dealers and murderers. So it's about Baltimore. It's about the underside of Baltimore. I mean, look, I love the show, but I don't want to see where it was filmed.
They don't show it anymore, I don't think, do they?
Well, it was actually just re-released in HD.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so it's on all the on-demand services.
I have to make a purchase.
It looks great in HD too. Okay, so why don't we do this? Thanks a lot, Vic. Again tonight.
He won't make a purchase for the Wire. He needs to save his money for going out to eat. There's no way.
I'll just watch it online probably.
Well, Amazon. Do you have Amazon Prime?
No.
It's included with an Amazon Prime membership.
Oh, really?
And the first month's free.
The first. Okay.
So
I
you
get all
get
the
a-
episodes watched in the first month. Just cancel it.
Yeah, there's only 60 episodes.
Bam.
You watch 2 a day, you're done in a month.
I like that.
Pronghorn
I've done that
basketball.
before.
Pronghorn basketball this evening, 5:30 and 7:30. The men and women taking on Sheridan College in Sheridan on 93.3 The Legend and online through BasonsRadio.com, Network1Sports.com.
Okay, thanks a lot, Vic. I know you got to go do some stuff. We'll be back with Coach Winkler from the Gillette Wild in just a few minutes. News Talk 1270, KIML.
An hour without politics? Yes. It's about time. Tuesday morning quarterbacks on News Talk 1270 KIML.
Okay! Game on! They score! Pay that man his money! What a game we got going. Lucic mashes Jones. Crimea River. He scores! I'm a lead farmer! Oh, Thomas lost Kovalchuk! Ah, you better pay him in rubles! That was an unbelievable save off the Russian! And this series is going back to where Jimmy Hoffa is!
It's time for the Gillette Wild Report with Coach Tom Winkler
Quick strike shoots, he scores! Ball! The meatloaf!
and the Tuesday morning quarterbacks on News Talk 1270 KIML.
He scores! Summertime is coming to Philadelphia!
And welcome back. Coach Tom Winkler joining us. Good morning.
How's it going, guys?
Oh, not too bad, not too bad. Chris, question?
I do have a question, in fact.
Well, we'll let you talk first since we'll probably talk over you the rest of the show.
Actually, I've got nothing right now, but I'll think of something later.
His question is this: he's wearing a Oklahoma State sweatshirt. Does the Oklahoma State hockey team, do they play any good?
They have a club team. We had a
They do
kid
have a
play
club
there.
team.
Chris Miracle, who played with us the first year, went to OSU.
OU has a pretty good team,
Yeah.
too. I actually almost bought my girlfriend an OU hockey jersey for Christmas.
You guys have ever seen the movie Major League, right?
Oh yeah,
When Bob Euchre's going, "Hey Monty, you got anything to add?" No.
No.
Best color guy in the business.
Oh man.
I'm like Monty.
Yeah, well, it's called word economy. We're taught word economy.
Brevity.
Yes.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, except for me, I mean, I'm paid to blab as much as I can. But you guys, I mean, you have 2 minutes. You have to get everything in, and Vic, you only get a couple of minutes between songs. So you have to learn word economy. That's Chris is just practicing.
2 minutes is perfect.
So
really.
Chris, do you have a question, or can I just go into my rant?
Well, I really don't have a question. You're coming to Buns and Guns tonight, right? The workout.
Who?
I'm teaching Buns and Guns.
What?
You're coming to that, right? I teach classes
All
at
right,
night.
so
Maybe we
My
should
second
let him.
job.
so anyhow, here's my
Okay.
We work on the biceps and, of
With-
course, the
with
backside as well.
with your wins over the weekend, or let's see, you only had one on
One game.
Thursday.
Yeah.
What is it looking like for the seeding right now?
Well, Great Falls played Thursday and Friday and won both. So I believe they've got a pretty, I don't want to say there's nothing comfortable, but I think they've got a 6-point lead on us right now. Helena split with Billings. They lost the first game with Billings, then came back and won in overtime the next night. So they're up on us by 1 point. So it seems like every weekend we're flip-flopping between second and third with Helena right now. And
Great Falls obviously did themselves some favors. So, I think it's tight. I think we're in a battle for that second home spot with Helena right now, I guess is probably the easiest way to put it.
Yeah, and here's the situation. Helena has 62 points. You have 61. They have 5 games remaining. You have 4.
Yeah.
So if they win out, they get 72 points. If you guys win out, you'll end up with 69.
So they need to lose 2 then.
So they need to lose 2.
Yeah, they need to lose, and they do play Great Falls. They've got Great Falls, I think, twice left on their schedule. So, anything can happen. And you know what, Billings has been, I didn't think Billings played very well against us on Thursday night. I thought they looked a little flat compared to how they've played us in the past. But then they turn around and go into Helena and beat Helena on Friday night. So, really, I hate to sound cliche-ish and everything you always hear, but it's really anything can happen still. We got to take care of our business, and we've got some tough challenges left. I mean, Cody likes to play the role of spoiler. They only lost to Great Falls 2-1 on Saturday. They played them very, very well. Obviously we have Billings again, playoff team, and then we have Bozeman that's coming in to finish up the season regulation wise, and they're a team that they're built for the future. They got they wouldn't make any trades at the deadline. They kept all their younger players. So I really think they're trying to get that nucleus some experience to come out next year and start guns a-blazing. And they're a good hockey team. We have not had easy games with Bozeman and by any stretch of the imagination. So, again, it's you have to be prepared to play, and every scenario is unique in its own way, so to speak. So, we've got our hands full just like everybody else does.
Well, and Billings, of course, in that 4th spot, they're a few points behind, but they've played stronger in the second part of the season.
Yeah, for sure. And they've kind of, like I said, I don't know, what happened to them the other night, if it was bust or fatigue or what, but they certainly didn't have the jump that they had against us when we played them the Friday night before and the other times that we played them. And they're very good. They're very explosive. They're a very good transitional team. They like to score off the rush on you, and that's a team that can be pretty scary in the playoffs. They've got a kid in that Semchuk that can steal games for them. So they're pretty solid.
Okay, so of course, coming up this weekend, you have Yellowstone. This is your final away game. I mean, the rest of the season, you have 3 straight home games, which of course is a good thing. And we talked about this with the Pronghorns. You can't look ahead to the playoffs.
No.
I mean, these games are all important. I mean, you're in the playoffs, but you want that home ice.
Absolutely. I mean, that's been a goal for. That's been a goal since the start of the season. I mean, obviously, you have to have a good regular season. You have to have the goal of making the playoffs. And then, obviously, you want, we've said this numerous times before, we want the home ice advantage because our building's a very tough place to play. And, quite frankly, our fans deserve more than one home game in the first round anyway. So we need to continue to try and get that second and final home slot.
Okay. And you mentioned this last week. The format is best of 3. So now explain how it works. Because I asked you off the air, is it 2-1? Is it 1-1-1? And the league does it a little bit differently than a lot of sports leagues do, mainly because of building constraints.
Well, building and geography and travel and things like that come into play. But the way it works is and again, our seedings aren't set yet. Everything's still up in the air. So basically, the organizations talk to each other, and if they work out a 1-2 or a 2-1, however it can be, it's agreed upon that way, then you do it that way. If they can't come to an agreement, whether it's due to, the higher seed demanding the third game at home or whatever the case may be, then it basically just becomes a 1-1-1 format. So you have the opportunity to work it out and see what you can come up with, and if that doesn't work, then the league rules state that it's a 1-1-1.
What would you prefer? 1-1-1.
Obviously, if I'm the home team, I want 1. I I would probably go. I would be selfish and push for 1-2 first. Play the first game on the road, and then play the next 2 at home.
If playoffs were to happen right now, you would be the 3rd seed, correct?
If they started today, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's imagine you're a visiting team. You would want 1-1-1. You definitely wouldn't want 2-1.
No.
Absolutely
not.
The lower seed team would prefer. Actually, the lower seed team might even prefer 1-2 sometimes because they're at least guaranteed one home game.
Yeah.
So in that case, it works out for the lower seed team too.
Yeah.
It's just a question of whether you can get together, and I assume you have pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah, everybody seems to, to cooperate, and again, the tough part really becomes, in all honesty, is that the 1 and 2 seeds, because of what they did in the regular season, they should have the priority of what they get and what they want. They should have first crack at it. I don't have an issue with that. That's why the regular season means something, because you fight to get the right for home ice advantage, and then it becomes up to your organization to determine, how you want to do it.
If you were the bottom seed, would you agree with 1-2?
1 at home, 2 on the road.
Yeah.
Again, I guess it goes back to if that's what's presented and they have the higher seed, we would probably, it'd be a conversation to have. I don't, we incorporate, Dwayne gets involved with this too, so I would have to get his opinion on what to do. But, again, I guess in that situation, maybe I'd push for the 1-1-1.
That's why I figured 1-1-1 would be your choice.
But
would you be upset if they changed it and just didn't do 1-2 or anything? Just all games played in one spot?
Yeah, I think I'd have a problem with that.
Oh, so
I think I would, because I think there definitely needs to be a reward for the higher seeds getting the home ice advantage. I agree with that and believe in that. But I also think if you do make the playoffs, you should be entitled to at least one home game. I think that's in a revenue-based league and with the fan support and the crowd support that these teams have in our division, I think it's unfair to just say all 3 are going to be in one location.
Oh, so you're not a big fan of one-game baseball playoffs?
Well,
those can be exciting, but
that's different, because that's where you have teams tied and they're trying to get into the actual playoffs, so it's a preliminary to it. And if it's a one-game winner-take-all because of schedule, then again, if teams have identical records, then I guess you would probably have to go head-to-head to see what they did in the regular season to determine who gets home field, then just play it out.
Those games are exciting, I will say. I mean, it's got to be tough for the away team, but they are exciting. So once the playoffs are set, and I think this is this is a situation where if you win out, you still need a little bit of help from Helena. I think they need to lose 2, even if they lose 1 and have an overtime loss. It's still that would actually have you tied in the playoff. That would have you tied. So I imagine the
then it would probably, I guess the first tiebreaker in that scenario would go to regular season record, and they have us on that. So we need them to lose a couple games, and we need to win out.
Okay.
I mean, that's like our focus is we just got to take care of what we can, and it's amazing. I did say this the other day is, we're in a position to win the most games that we have in a season, in a regular season, and we're still in a 3-way dogfight for first and third. I mean, it's just how tight it's a credit to the division how tight it's been, and that the top 3 teams have played, fairly consistent hockey. I mean, you look at where we are. The other day I looked at this, and I think in the 5 divisions of the NA3HL that we would be in first place in 3 of the 5. Where we sit right now. So
very strong.
It's a very strong division. It's a very competitive league, and I mean that's just how it is, and it's great. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a very, very competitive season, and it's been a very fun season for for everybody to be a part of.
And I'm looking at the standings. It looks like the only division. Well, it seems like the South Division, but I kind of have a feeling that division looks like there's one team that's
Is that Nashville?
Nashville that is just
Nashville, Topeka. Those are the top two.
Texas point. So this is Tennessee, Oklahoma, and Texas teams, which it sounds like.
Wait, you're telling me a team from Nashville has to travel to Topeka?
Topeka, Kansas, yeah.
Ooh.
Dallas,
Long haul.
Sugarland.
Wow, that'd be I'd like to be in that league.
That's
I'd like
that's
that
as
trip.
bad. That's as bad as the trip to
Gosh.
Glacier.
Ooh,
Yeah.
That's a long one.
that's what 7-8
Yeah.
hours. I think we.
Yeah, and that division's fairly new. All of those teams are, I think, with the exception of Topeka, because there were 3 teams in it last year. I think it was Topeka, Dallas, and
Man, the trip to Dallas and that I'd like to be in that league.
That Tennessee team has a rough go.
Yeah.
We're going to Oklahoma,
well,
Texas.
and the thing is, they've got St. Louis, which is 4.5 hours north of them, and they're in a different division.
Yeah.
So
Although in this league, I don't know if I'd want to play that St. Louis team because aren't they the ones that are perennial?
they are, but they had an off year this year.
Okay.
They had an off year this year.
That's a strong.
But yeah, that South Division's travels is pretty. It might actually even be worse than ours.
except for the weather.
It might be worse than ours. Yeah.
Okay, so this weekend you have 3 games coming up, 2 league games. You're at Yellowstone on Friday night. You're back home Saturday against Billings, and then you have a game against UW on Sunday, which is a non-league game.
A non-league game, and obviously it's we've been talking with them since the beginning of season about trying to get something together, and after the Christmas break, they approached us about playing. So, we're gonna 7:00 is the face-off on Sunday night against their ACHA Division II club hockey team.
Well, it sounds like a fun game. I know it's kind of in an odd place, but it sounds like a good opportunity to get out and maybe try some players that maybe haven't gotten as much time. Get them ready for the playoffs.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of kids on that team: Tyler Johnson, Tyson Lonigan, kids that played for us the last couple of years, and they've made, to their credit as a club program, they've made huge strides over the last couple of years as far as competitiveness within the league that they play in. So, they've got a nice foundation going on, and it's something that we'd like to do. We'd like to do annually with them, and this happened to be with everybody's schedules and things that were going on. This just seemed to be the only workable date to do it. So, obviously they're going to come up ready to play, and it'll be a fun, something a little different on a Sunday night, and
All right,
have a good time with it.
I got a question. Do you think UW will ever get to the level that DU is or anything?
That's a huge,
Of course, DU. We're talking about Denver University.
Yeah, you're
They've got a
talking
good
major.
hockey
You're
team.
talking major Division I college hockey programs, and
College hockey's a little bit weird compared to a lot of other sports.
well,
but,
it is, and there's other factors that go into it where you can't, and I'm not going to sidestep your question. I'll come back around to it, but for instance, the Pac-10 has always talked about forming a Division I hockey conference would be great. You have Washington, Oregon, UCLA, USC, schools like that, which would be fantastic because they have the student population base to do really well. And hockey is very popular in all those parts of the country now. The issue comes into, number one, you got to have an arena. Number two, you have to deal with Title IX, which means if you have a men's program, you need to have a women's program to offset it. So now all of a sudden the financial burden to do this, because now you've got to get a building and support 2 hockey programs. I mean, it's a major financial commitment. And, those schools have been talking about this since the early 2000s. I remember these discussions. And actually Arizona, or is it Arizona or Arizona State? One of those two is actually going to go into an independent Division I program in the next couple of years here. So hopefully that'll be the one that starts the dominoes falling to where you see more Western schools, Southwest and Western schools start to consider to have these programs and make these type of programs happen.
In UW's scenario, I think it would be extremely, extremely difficult because of where they're at. You know, they might be able to get into the WCHA with Denver and things like that, but again, then they got to have a women's program. They got to have a building. I mean, it's
Laramie's a bit of a problem with the travel. I mean, although they do have jet service now, so there is that, but the travel's always a problem with any program coming into Laramie, and we're almost completely out of time. But I just want to make sure we mention it one more time. The Wild will be at Yellowstone Friday night if you want to make the drive out to Cody, and at home Saturday and Sunday night, first up against Billings and then against UW. Thanks a lot, Coach, for stopping by, and thanks, Vic and Chris, for hanging out. And we're going to see you guys in about 21 hours. Stay tuned for Rush.
Don Carpenter on News Talk 1270 KIML, 70 KIML, 70